Clips to the show as England kicked off their Euro qualifying campaign in some style at Wembley, beating the Czech Republic by 5-0. Raheem Sterling with a hat-trick, Harry Kane with a penalty, plus an own goal, topping off a comprehensive win for Gareth Southgate's side. Craig, was this England being very, very good, or the Czech Republic being terrible?
Well, the Czechs are not at a great period in their history. They've not got the star players anymore. That being said, it's a very exciting time to be an England fan. You know, off the back of the World Cup semi-final, then the Nations League, where they were super competitive, had a great win in Seville, and they've got good youngsters coming through. They were missing a load of players, a load of key players, but still had backups.
Yeah.
And of course, when you've got somebody like Harry Kane leading the line, who's arguably the best striker in European football, you've always got a chance. And we've talked about Raheem Sterling a heck of a lot over the last 6 months or so. And we continually say, at City, he's taking his game to another level, week in, week out. And we're seeing that in an England shirt now. His end product in the final third was superb. Young Sancho got game time, Hudson-Odoi got game time, and Declan Rice, after all the controversy, got a cap. It was a perfect scenario and the perfect start for Gareth Southgate.
Bradley, as a fellow Englishman, we've of course suffered a lot over the years with promises that have been broken of golden generations who haven't delivered. But once again, you take a look at the quality, and as Craig mentioned, the youth within this squad, you know, hopes are, you know, really high.
Yeah, it's exciting times for England. I think, you know, coming off the World Cup we had, obviously not winning it, but having a good run and playing some good games against some good teams. I think now just watching them today, you see the depth in the squad, the young players they got coming through. It's exciting times. I'm excited anyway.
Well, you take a look at Shaq is also excited. Your player rating, Shaq, Craig mentioned it.
By the way, you just had to stop yourself, didn't you, when you said, we're going to win the Euros.
He was bobbling over.
We're going to win.
He was bobbling over.
You had, we're going to win the Euros on the tip of your tongue, didn't you? You did. Carried away as usual.
Well, no, I'm allowed to get carried away, though, because...
Well, it's an exciting time.
It's the way that it goes. And we talk about Raheem Sterling, and the fact of the matter is that he, once again, will grab all the headlines for the right reasons, because he keeps putting in these sort of performances, which can...
I wouldn't say surprise me. I'm more happy to see him doing, you know, what I think he was always capable of. I think he just found a manager that believed in him, and, you know, he was getting a lot of stick, and it shows how strong he is to come through the other side, and now, you know, being one of the best players for England, it's good to see. I think also, obviously, Raheem got the hat-trick, but Harry Kane's is a pleasure to watch. I don't think we have really a number 10. I think he's our number 9 goal scorer and our number 10. I think today he was quality, you know, especially late in the first half, early in the second half. I want to say, though, I think Ross Barkley won't get no credit, and it was kind of, you know, the way he's come on the game, obviously Eric Dyer getting injured. I think him coming into the game changed it a lot. I think wasn't sure if they were going to bring on Declan Rice or Ross Barkley, but I think Ross Barkley was the choice. I think early in the first half, you know, for the first 20 minutes, they were tough to break down, and I don't think we were breaking lines. I think defenders could have drove out and played some passes to break the lines, and I think Ross Barkley does those kind of things naturally. So I don't think he'll get a lot of credit, but he played well today. And
it was an attacking move from Southgate, who obviously realised what the Czech Republic were doing, brought on Barkley instead of Declan Rice. And you take a look at the starting 11 here, Case, and I know you picked up on Harry Kane, certainly the ball through for the opening goal. I'm worried about his penalty taking, though. I think he needs to change that style.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, just smashing it into the corner is always a tough place to be. But I think when you look at just this team, and you're also talking about, you know, some of the players that were out, you have good experience. You have a good balance from players at kind of the peak of their career with good, athletic, young players that are also pushing the older players. There's a really, really good balance in that team to be very successful. When you look at kind of what Germany was a few years ago, you see how the young players came up. They pushed the older players to keep their level to where they needed to be, but brought also that youthful exuberance and athleticism, and they were phenomenal. This England team has that level of balance. Now, to get from a semifinal and to actually go win something, there is that small group, that competition of other countries that are going to have something to say about it. But this is a very good English squad that can do some good things.
And it's one of the things I picked up on during the game is that, and England are going to win this group, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of groups, you know, it's like the Belgium-Russian game yesterday. Russia's fight is not against Belgium. Yeah. And Montenegro, Bulgaria and the Czech Republic's fight is not against England. It will be for that second spot. But just to go back to the point that Bradley made, was that one of the areas where, when England were taking apart their World Cup, where they could improve as good as it was they haven't really got a great passer in central midfield. And actually, if you look at it, Harry Kane's probably the best passer of a football in that team. So when he drops deeper and sprays these passes about, it's a real bonus for England. The other side of the coin is when Raheem Sterling went to Man City, he went as a winger. That's all he was. Yeah. He was a wide man. Get at the full-back, take him on. He's so much more than that now, right? You see Raheem Sterling more often than not in those little pockets, tucked in, picking the ball up in good areas, running off Harry Kane when he comes deep. There's so much thought, much more thought goes into Raheem Sterling's game than was before. And the other point is, and you talked about it with youngsters, I don't know about you boys, but when I made my international debut, and even for the first couple of games, I was a bag of nerves. I'm looking at Sancho and Hudson-Odoi coming on, and it's all flicks and tricks. At Wembley, in front of 80,000 people, as a teenager, in a qualifier. I can't. The change in the philosophy of these young guys now is from my time. Most guys were like sitting quaking in the dressing room. So these guys can't wait to get out and showcase their talents.
Let's take the conversation about Raheem Sterling to the Premier League. He, of course, is in the conversation regarding who will be the player of the year. Van Dijk, a big favourite, according to the bookies, 5-2 on. Aguero then coming in at 6-1, Sterling at 8. Mane and Salah both at 20-1, respectively. You take a look at the odds, and in fact, Aguero hasn't scored as many goals. Sterling hasn't scored as many goals as the other three attackers in that list. However, he has provided more assists. You can see that there. Van Dijk, though, for you, Craig, overall, would that be fair?
Well, I mean, we're taking attackers and defenders here. It's a clear skill set difference. What I would, he's been a Rolls Royce of a defender. You know, been a Rolls Royce for Liverpool and for the Dutch, and it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue against any of them. I would not have an issue if it was a defender that won it,
right?
Because he is the glue that holds the whole Liverpool back four together. He has been. When he was signed for 75 million, we all went, "What's a hell of a lot for a defender?" You could double that now. I mean, he's been against any of them. I would not have an issue if it was a defender that won it,
right?
Because he is the glue that holds the whole Liverpool back four together. He has been. When he was signed for 75 million, we all went, "What's a hell of a lot for a defender?" You could double that now. I mean, he's been immense.
Bradley, who's going to run in the closest, do you think? Would it be Aguero or Raheem Sterling, in your opinion?
Raheem Sterling, for sure. I think, for me, it would be Raheem Sterling. Maybe because I'm an attacker, but I think Raheem Sterling. I think Van Dijk's had an amazing season, and he's the best defender out there now. But Raheem Sterling, just the improvement he's made and how vital he is for that Man City attack, I think it's him. I
suppose the argument is, Bradley, though, if you take Van Dijk out of that Liverpool side, I don't think they'd be anywhere near where they are. Yeah. But if you take Raheem Sterling out, you would suggest that they've got enough depth to still go on and win the title without him.
Yeah, it's a good point, but I'm going to stick with my attackers. I just think he's been unbelievable this season. Even tonight showing again, he's been really good. So I'd say Raheem Sterling. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys.
Never apologise on this show, Bradley. But I do like the stubborn edge that you've taken early on.
But I looked at it, and I know that the voting is kind of a little strange because it kind of comes a little bit earlier. But if Van Dijk could be the reason or the main reason why Liverpool could finally win that first Premier League title, since they moved over to the Premier, then I would say yes, it has to be him, because that's been the piece that's been missing from Liverpool. If Man City go on and win every game the rest of the way in and win the title, and Sterling does what he does and Aguero does what he does, I get that. So yeah, it's tricky, but I agree that there's not a wrong answer in that group.
Do you think, for me, if Sterling continues in the kind of vein of form that he's been showing, and City go on and win this title, he has every right to feel aggrieved if he doesn't win it. But as we sit right now, if you told me that I'm building a team and I could have one pick out of those players on that list, I would go for Virgil van Dijk.
As a goalkeeper, I'm right there with
Yeah.
you, my friend. Yeah, get that big center back in there. Get that good.
The one player I don't
factor.
think has been great, although he's returned some goals, is Mo Salah.
Yeah, I think Salah deserves to be in that
I
conversation.
think Salah last year was incredible,
Agreed.
particularly the goals. He has returned goals this year, but his general performances have not been up to Raheem Sterling's or Sadio Mane's. There's no doubt about that.
But last year,
Agreed.
I think, was a level
Yeah.
for Mo Salah that was.
He's never going to get there.
Correct.
Yeah, it wasn't going to.
And so that set a standard that's almost impossible to continue on
That
from.
was a big mistake.
Meanwhile, we missed you yesterday, Craig, which is something we don't
Did
say
you?
very often. Yes,
No,
because
you do. You just tell that to the audience.
oh really?
You really do.
Yeah, I really do.
You didn't
Because
miss me? You didn't miss me? No?
well, we've got to talk to you about what happened in Kazakhstan.
Did Paul Mariner not say it all yesterday?
He was so happy yesterday as an Englishman to see your boys suffer.
Well, listen,
this is Kazakhstan, who, let's not forget, are ranked 117th in the world.
I haven't heard that
They
at all
beat
in the last
Scotland
day.
by 3-0. Craig, how
heard-
does this happen?
How does it happen? Because Scotland are abysmal.
But they won their group in the Nations League.
You know me.
They were turning it around.
I never hide from these things, no matter whether it's Scotland or Chelsea.
Happen.
How does it happen? Because Scotland are abysmal.
But they won their group in the Nations League.
You know me.
They were turning it around.
I never hide from these things, no matter whether it's Scotland or Chelsea or Celtic or whatever team. It's all short-termism. And I'm afraid, and I've been telling people this for a while, there's not an upward trend for Scotland at the moment, whether they win the Nations League or not. Really, not been to a major championship for over 20 years. But the usual people come out and put their head above the parapet and say, well, come on, promote the Scottish game. You don't do enough for it. Are we analysts or are we promoters? That is just not good enough. We're in the business of analysing stuff. And this is international football. It's big boy stuff. You get criticised. I've been there myself. 2 out of 10 in the newspaper, 3 out of 10. You were hopeless.
It was a good day.
You got to take it. You got to take it on the chin. You got to move on. Unfortunately, we've got a core of players who, as a squad, are not good enough. We've got a manager who, at the moment, has shown that he doesn't have a forward way of thinking of getting results. And as a football nation, at the moment, we're pretty horrendous. And we got what we deserved. A 3-0 shellacking in Kazakhstan.
What did Steve Nichols say the day before yesterday?
Scotland run the up.
He did, I promise. You can join us, as always, on Extra Time, where we answer some of your questions. You can check us out over on the website. Let's check out what else happened in the Euros today. The World you take a look at it, no particularly standout performance. Long getting an A. Adams at right back. Of course, a lot of talk about that.
Yeah.
An A.
Look, the back line was really not pressed for
Right.
much of the game.
Yeah.
Ecuador, as you mentioned, really came out of it. I was really surprised. I thought Areola, particularly in the first 10, 15 minutes, created some good things, was dangerous, worked hard. Trapp had some good passes out of midfield. Pulisic was not where you would expect him to be, and I know he's getting back to form with Dortmund, but for the most part, yeah, it was very comfortable defensively. In the U.S., I thought in the first 10 minutes, they did some really good things. They kind of mixed it up. Mm-hmm. They played some quick, short stuff, but then they also played some balls over the top, which kind of forced Ecuador to make some decisions, and they made it difficult. The problem was it was almost like once Ecuador took that extra step back, the U.S. was just happy just to pass the ball in front of them, in which Ecuador was even more happy that the U.S. was just passing the ball in front of them. And I think that's going to be one of the tricky parts, I think, for Berhalter as he goes forward is, because I think teams are going to look at the U.S. team and they're going to say, because they're going to be better than the majority of their CONCACAF competition, and teams are going to come to the U.S. particularly and get themselves in a couple banks of 5 and make it very difficult. And at times you have to be able to change your game plan if you can't find ways to pass through a very crowded central area. And I didn't see that imagination at any time to say, okay, let's be a little bit more direct. Let's just win some second balls in the box. Let's throw some crosses in early before they get their chance to get deeper into a couple defensive blocks. So, and look, Zardes was right. I think a lot of the guys came in A lot of that squad didn't come in until Sunday or Monday.
Yeah.
They had a day to kind of train, and yes, Greg's going to have some work to do. And look, they've got one more game, and then the next competition is Gold Cup in the summer.
Sure.
So it's
Listen, with a 0.05 expected goals for Ecuador, we could have played the backboard here.
Hey, since when did you pay attention to expected goals?
Saw it on the graphic.
The US taking on Chile. That's on Tuesday, ESPN 2, 75 Eastern. Just a reminder, if you ever miss any of our videos, you can check it out on our YouTube page. Plenty of stuff for you to enjoy over there, including, of course, Best of the Week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome into Extra Time.
What the hell's that?
Well, if we're going to do it, we might as well do it well, right?
Do you want to do that again?
No. I can't see that again.
It took me to week 3 to get into your Ali's You Know It, You Lovely. You love it. It is lovely.
Well, you know what? That's
The
why it took
weekly
you till
awards.
week 3. You don't have it quite down just yet. This is important. Why are you taking notes? What are you gonna do with this? You're gonna keep this and bring it up whenever we do it?
I think he's in front of Sancho, to be perfectly honest.
Come on, Paul.
I
what are you
think
talking
he's
about?
in front of...
How is he in front of Jadon Sancho, a man who's played, 117 minutes in the Premier League?
Have you seen what Hudson-Odoi does?
I've seen him sat on the bench, Paul.
How old am I? Let me see that pen. Ah, dude.
Real. Seriously? I mean, come on. Donald Duck. How old are you?
Old enough not to be using a Donald Duck pen.
Exactly.
He's decided that maybe, just maybe, he made a big old mistake.
Yeah, another thing that French people do, they surrender very quickly. You know? That's a legend. I never say it's the truth. That's a legend. The key is, regardless whether your coaching or your tactics are any good, really.
Shaka's trying to get in your shot.
Going into Stevie's shot.
Sisu! I'm right here, baby. I'm here for you.
Would Mourinho be exactly what PSG need to move to the next level in Champions League?
Leave us alone. Don't try to bring Mourinho to our club. Leave us alone.
How good Shaka looks there.
And now this.
50s are not
Speaking of ending nicely.
Time your power rank.
Yeah, let's do it.
Where's the spin?
There's the spin. I'm spinning right now. See,
You know, he didn't work on a reverse spin.
No.
He only been working on his forward spin. That's what it is.
Is Stevie more fun than Craig?
Stevie-
This person.
Listen.
This is my wife, actually, who tweeted this in.
Her name's Keely Devine, right? His name's Thalada. Right? It's not his wife. Don't listen to that rubbish. She's Devine, he's Thalada.
So the guy has overruled him.
Well, the guy's given a different opinion and said to Martin Atkinson on the day that he got it wrong.
Pete. He's overruled them.
Okay, he's overruled him.
He's caved. He's caved.
I understand the motion of trying to run, but when you lift your elbow, as soon as you lift your elbow up, you're done.
He's a short, not dump, I won't call him dumpy, but he was a small squat player. But over 5 yards. He looked a bit reminiscent of Ali at his peak, I would say, in terms of shape. And he
What a backhanded compliment that was. Well, he was short and dumpy like Ali in his prime. All right, I'll take it. ¿Tú sabes esa, Barack? ¿Tú no sabes esa? Estamos botándolo todo, Barack. Can you do that?
No, I'm not even gonna.
You don't have the rhythm. You don't have the rhythm.
I'm going to put my back out right now.
You got to see Adrian on the dance floor. It's got to be worth it, isn't it? Ali's lovely awards.
My beard's looking well.
It's looking terrible. Why would you bring that up?
I just thought I'd mention that.
For God's sake, man, shave it off.
Told me during extra
Shave
time
it
that
off.
my beard's looking well.
If you haven't missed the show, you can download our
my
daily
beard.
podcast. You can't see the beard then. That's one
That's no
bonus,
good.
I suppose, isn't it? Which is available, of course, over on the website. Without a doubt, when you take a look at those Euro qualifiers from the opening round of matches, Netherlands against Germany is the standout tie. It is live on Sunday on ESPN Plus at 3:35 Eastern. Meanwhile, just a reminder of how the CONCACAF Champions League bracket looks as the semi-finals kick off at the start of next month. And as Bradley, as you're with us, I've got to talk to you about what happened in Mexico. Of course, 2-0 down going into that second leg. You do the hard work, you get it back to 2-2, but then concede those 4 goals over a very short period of time. It must have been so frustrating.
Yeah, it was. From going there with a game plan and actually executing that game plan for the first half.
Monday on ESPN Plus at 3:35 Eastern. Meanwhile, just a reminder of how the CONCACAF Champions League bracket looks as the semi-finals kick off at the start of next month. And as Bradley, you're with us, I've got to talk to you about what happened in Mexico. Of course, 2-0 down going into that second leg. You do the hard work, you get it back to 2-2, but then concede those 4 goals over a very short period of time. It must have been so frustrating.
Yeah, it was. From going there with a game plan and actually executing that game plan for the first half. You come out in the second half and believe you're going to get the third goal. With them scoring the 2 goals in quick succession, it gave us a real uphill battle, and we struggled from there on out.
Of course, Sporting KC, the only side left flying the flag for MLS. They are the outsiders to win it all. It was interesting what Darren Eales, the president of Atlanta United, had to say, Bradley, saying, look, as long as there's this financial disparity between MLS and Liga MX, there's no way you can expect MLS teams to properly compete in this competition.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with Darren on that statement. I just think, us and Toronto have proved last season how well and how far we can go in the competition. I think, there was no team that really outshone us. I think even when we played Chivas, the game was on our term at home, and we just couldn't get the goal. I don't think it comes down to money. I think there's other factors that you could point out, but I definitely don't think money.
You look at other factors. Just explain to us how different it is coming into the start of this tournament, having just pretty much finished pre-season, as opposed to, of course, the Mexican sides who are halfway through their campaign.
Yeah, it's one of the points I would always bring up, even when I speak to people, that not on TV or media outlets. I say to them, it's tough. We're playing, maybe our 4th game of the season, having maybe completed one 90-minute game, in pre-season, and you got to play a semi-final or a quarter-final. It's not easy to do. These guys are in the middle of their season, so that's one of the challenges. It's tough to win those games against good teams, but again, I don't think it has anything to do with money. I think that MLS has shown how, the quality we've got here now and compete against some of the best teams, so yeah, I wouldn't agree.
Of course, we've got a full round of matches this weekend for yourselves. The 3rd game of the season taking on Orlando. So far this campaign, 1 win, 1 draw. Obviously, you take an undefeated start to the season. Look to continue that this weekend.
Yeah, of course. When we're at home, we're always looking to win the game, but by no means are we underestimating Orlando. They may not go off to the greatest start, but they have some dangerous players. They have a goal scorer in Dom Dwyer, a playmaker in Sasha Kleshinen, and at one stage a world beater in Nani. So, our hands will be full, but I expect to, go out and win this game.
Well, good luck at the weekend. Stay with us. I want you on extra time as well, Bradley, but for now we'll say goodbye to you.
Thanks, mate.
Let's just confirm that game is live on ESPN Plus on Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern. The Red Bulls taking on Orlando City. You could also, if you preferred, watch the Union take on Columbus Crew. Then late on Saturday, LAFC against RSL. And on Sunday at Gillette, it's the Revs who take on New Boys FC Cincinnati. Let's take a look at the back pages of some of the newspapers in the UK. No surprise, one name dominates, and that is Raheem Sterling after his hat-trick against the Czech Republic. Red-hot Raheem pretty much sets the theme quite nicely for what we've seen. Stunning Sterling. It's good to see as an Englishman, to be honest. I'm a happy man. It's nice.
Well, it's nice to see him getting some
of
recognition,
course.
some headlines. He's been in the headlines. He's been very outspoken about some of the stick that he's got or he's had in the last, 12 to 18 months, and he's doing all the talking with his feet. And
especially a press that have seemed to want to go after Raheem Sterling. Remember a couple of years ago in the World Cup?
Yes.
Now he's turning that narrative on his head. Well played, Raheem.
Yeah, excellent. Well deserved.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Check us out on Extra Time over on the website. Until next time, goodbye. Welcome into Extra Time. This is with us. Bradley, a lot of questions for you today, mostly about your father, actually. The first one, what are your favourite Ian Wright goals? Did Ian score any particular sweet goals against Southampton? Due to my Southampton ways. Yeah. Favourite goal that Ian scored, Bradley?
I feel like my favourite one was probably he scored like a goal against, I want to say Neville Southall, against Everton at Highbury. and he kind of like tapped it over the guy's defender's head one way, tapped it back over, and on a full volley, just lobbed the keeper. It was a very good goal. I'd say that's my favourite.
Did he show them to you all the time? Was it pretty much blanking coverage, Ian Wright goals?
He tried. After a while, I got bored of it. But I won't lie, there was a video I had, and I used to watch his goals all the time. But as I got older, he didn't look as good to me.
There must have been. I was going to say there must have been one or two against Shaka or I as well.
I played with right
at West
Ham. Yeah.
And he came to Celtic as well. In my time there.
Yeah.
It's good.
He came to Celtic for a little period when Barnsley was the manager.
Right.
So
it's good.
See, gave Scotland a little bash for a few months.
That didn't go very well, though, did it?
No, we all got Barnsley the sack. In fairness, I'd left by then, so it wasn't actually my fault.
But you started. You started the downfall. You give him a little push.
Is your dad strict, or is he always laughing?
He's always laughing. He is always laughing and joking around, but he only gets real serious with me when it's about finishing and goals.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like if I was a little low on confidence or I missed a target and I would speak to him about it, that's when he gets serious. But anything else he's a big kid.
That's when the old videos come out.
Here's what
I did.
Look at me here, son.
Now, who is a better goalkeeper between Casey and Shaka in their prime?
Oh, goodness me.
You can't do this to me.
Go on, go on, Bradley. You go.
He's not old enough.
He was like 6. I mean, it was like,
I've got some videos I can show you and all,
Thank you, Craig. I'm not old enough.
All right,
Craig,
you are definitely old enough. Good stuff.
I can't differentiate between these two fine gentlemen.
Casey used to have better hair than
I had some
Casey
sweet,
had some good hair.
I had a sweet mullet back in the day.
Yeah,
So
that was good. Shaka, you've never really changed your hair, have you?
No.
Now you just got a terrible beard.
Shaka had better hair.
No, beard's coming along well, you know. Coming along nicely.
Brad, thoughts on Messi's return to the national team and what we should expect going forward? Actually, should we scrap that question and ask him the question?
Well, go on, ask him the question.
Is Messi the GOAT?
Yeah, for me, he is. He is. I feel like if you took Messi and Ronaldo to the park and you didn't know who one of them was, you didn't know their names or anything, and you just saw them having a knockabout in the park, I think you think Messi is a better football player. But Ronaldo's alleged to, obviously.
To be fair, we could take these two down the park tonight. You could hit a few balls at them.
Perfect.
Listen, Dan is
Messi
scoring
and
on
Ronaldo
PSP.
could,
No. Never mind our prime. Dan can't score on us, no.
True.
Not Dan.
To be fair, I don't think you'd reach the goals, Dan, from 12 yards.
All right.
Wow. Dan, you going to take this?
Yes, I will. I'm terrible at football. I'm not even pretend.
I mean, I don't think you've got enough muscle in those quads to even get the ball that far.
How are all of your NCAA tournament brackets holding up?
I haven't done it.
Have you done a
Mine's
bracket?
great. Mine's going
You
great.
haven't done a bracket,
I haven't done it any year, in fact.
No. Bradley, have you done a bracket?
That cannot be a question. Do not ask me stupid questions, please.
Well,
I told you it's not a sport.
Hold on.
could really struggle here.
Brad doesn't think basketball is a real sport.
Hey.
I had this conversation with him in LA, and that's me today.
Why is it
like, basketball is not a real sport.
Wow.
These guys are catching and throwing the ball. It's not difficult, is it?
You haven't seen Shaka play basketball. He makes it very difficult.
Shaq will probably be good. Shaq is big. He'll be
I'm
good.
very good. Thank you very much, Brad.
Craig played for the Scotland under-17s basketball side.
Under
Bradley, I'll have you
15s,
know.
under 15s.
Under 15s.
Get it right.
He's stealing my lines.
What's that?
Don't ask stupid questions. It's my job.
Oh, is that your line? It's mine now. It's mine.
Have you done a bracket, Case?
I did not this year.
Good. Favourite team to score against? For anyone but wondering about BWP, I saw him score at Gillette last year.
You did. That was probably one of my better goals. I went away from tap-ins and probably got something outside the area. But favourite team to score against? It's got to be New York City FC. I shouldn't even say their name. Yeah, the other side.
Too late now. You've already said it.
Did you have a favourite team? Scoring against Rangers must be nice.
Yeah, scoring against Rangers.
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Yeah, at the Cop.
At the Cop, twice. Once for them, once for us. Same game, yes. Lost 2-1, scored twice. No, Rangers in
Yeah,
the
Man of the match.
Yeah, man of the match. 2 goals.
Final question. It's time for you, Casey, to take us down memory lane.
Oh, there
As
we go.
Tottenham move into their new stadium, what is Casey's favourite memory playing at the old White Hart Lane?
Well, I have so many good memories at Old White Hart Lane, but I think one which was kind of emotional was it was my first ever game for Spurs. It was a League Cup game against all teams like Torquay, but it was just a few days after 9/11. And I remember a big presentation that I was a part of, being American and laying some flowers down and some things at White Hart Lane for that game. And kind of, you know, sometimes events kind of take over from football, and it was pretty cool the way the Spurs fans, you know, took to the tragedy in America, and with myself, you know, playing my first game for the club. It was pretty cool.
Spurs, of course, will have their first game at the new stadium at the start of next month against Crystal Palace, I think.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Well, indeed.
Be a light bulb out or something. I don't know. There'll be some a door won't open.
Yes,
Rafter will fall off.
The gate into the stadium.
The kettle
Someone
won't be
lost